The teacher's fist slammed onto the desk, his jaw clenched as he pointed sharply at her. "Take it off, now," he snarled. A chill of fear twisted in her stomach as she realized he wasn't bluffing. She had no idea what he might do if she refused, but one thing was clear: he had no clue who her father was when he decided to target her like this. He stepped closer, his eyes narrowing. "Sophie, take off the hat," he commanded, his voice hard and unyielding. Sophie hesitated, her hands trembling as she tried to gather her courage, desperate to explain. The medicine was still coursing through her system, numbing the pain that had become her shadow. Why couldn't he just listen? The teacher's fury grew, radiating from him as he took another step. "I won't repeat myself," he shouted. Without warning, he reached out, snatching the cap from her head. The room fell silent, and a series of gasps broke through the quiet as the truth lay exposed. All Sophie could do now was hope that whatever came next would be swift and merciful. Sophie never wanted to wear that hat. It was supposed to help her hide, not expose her to the stares and whispers of her classmates, some mocking, others pitying. It all started at a birthday party when a sudden sharp pain struck her chest. At only 11 years old, she had no idea what was happening. The second wave of pain was worse, and by the third, Sophie was on the floor, the agony consuming her body. She woke up in a hospital bed, bright lights overhead, and her mother beside her with tears in her eyes. A doctor explained that Sophie had a rare condition called chronic recurrent multifocal osteomyelitis, CRMO, a disease that causes inflammation in the bones and is accompanied by chronic pain. Her life changed overnight. Twice a week, she was at the hospital for injections to manage the pain and heal her bones. Her mother, overwhelmed with medical bills, had to work extra shifts, leaving Sophie feeling more alone. On top of it all, her father, who had been absent most of her life, suddenly began showing up, bringing gifts and trying to reconnect. Sophie resented him. Why now? Where had he been when life was normal? The treatment brought hope, but it came with a devastating side effect. Her hair started falling out. The medicine was working, but Sophie couldn't bear the thought of going back to school like this. That's when her mother came up with a solution. "How about a wig?" she suggested, trying to comfort her. Sophie's mom asked with a bright smile, though the worry in her eyes was hard to miss. "Yeah," Sophie replied, trying to ease her mom's stress. "I really like that, Mom." Her mother quickly reached out to Little Princess Trust, a charity that provides free real hair wigs to children who have lost theirs due to illness. In no time, the charity sent over a few wigs for Sophie to choose from. She picked her favorite and decided to shave the rest of her hair so she could wear it right away. For the first time in months, her mom smiled without the shadow of sadness behind it. Sophie thought things were finally turning around, but in reality, the toughest moments were still ahead. Throughout the year, Sophie kept up with school, managing her studies despite everything. One day though, her wig became too loose, and she had to take it off so her mom could fix it. Sophie's mother was nervous, worried something might go wrong and Sophie's head would be exposed, leaving her embarrassed. But Sophie was determined. She loved school and didn't want to miss out any more than she already had. Her mom admired her courage, noticing that the treatment had brought a newfound confidence in Sophie. Surely, the school would be understanding of her situation. When the wig needed fixing, her mom suggested staying home for the day, but Sophie refused. "It's okay," she said, grabbing a baseball cap. "I can wear this." She waved it in front of her mom's face, unaware of what that small decision would lead to. The next day, Sophie went to school wearing the cap. Some kids stared, a few teased her, but her friends understood. Still, a group of boys began mocking her, calling her names. "Hey, she looks like a spy. What are you hiding under there?" One of them taunted while his friends laughed. One of the boys even tried to yank the cap off her head. Sophie struggled to stop him, but with her friends' help, they managed to prevent the worst from happening. Emma, one of her friends, stood up to the boys, but it only made things worse. "Mind your business and scram," one of the boys yelled at her. Their argument drew the attention of a teacher, who stepped out into the hallway. "What's going on here? Get to class now, or you'll all get detention." Sophie sat in class beside her best friend as the bell rang, signaling the start of first period. Math wasn't her favorite, but she didn't mind it, especially with Mr. Reeves as her teacher. Strict and often grumpy, he was still good at what he did. But today, he would show Sophie a side of him she hadn't seen before. The moment he entered the classroom, his eyes zeroed in on her. "No caps in class, Sophie. Take it off." Panic surged through her. She had a permission slip in her bag explaining why she needed to wear the hat, but before she could retrieve it, Mr. Reeves marched over, glaring. "Sophie, I said take it off," he repeated. Then, without waiting, he yanked the cap from her head. The room went silent as all eyes turned to her. No one, not even her best friend, knew about her hair loss. A few kids snickered, while others stared with a mix of pity and shock. Tears blurred her vision, her breath catching in her throat. The familiar ache in her bones surged, and then everything went black. When Sophie woke, she was in a hospital bed. Her mother sat beside her, but this time, her father was there too, standing quietly in the corner. Tall and imposing, he looked tense, his muscles coiled as if fighting to control his anger. Was he upset that she fainted? What did he know about what she'd been going through? Their eyes met, and he stepped toward her, his hand rough but his touch gentle. He exchanged a glance with her mother before storming out. Jack Lawson, a Navy SEAL, was seething. How could a teacher humiliate his daughter like this when she'd done nothing wrong? His anger boiled over as he got into his truck and drove straight to the school. Without hesitation, Jack marched onto the campus, his gaze locked on Mr. Reeves. He found him in the staff room, and it took all the self-control not to lunge right then and there as teachers and students looked on. The principal rushed in, urging him to step into her office to discuss the situation. It took every ounce of restraint for Jack to walk away, but he knew one thing: this was far from over. Word of the incident spread quickly throughout the school. An emergency meeting was called, involving the school board, teachers, and Sophie's parents. The principal, Miss Thompson, tried to mediate as Sophie's parents demanded consequences for Mr. Reeves' actions. Meanwhile, the school board was worried about the looming threat of legal action. The situation was spiraling, and the resolution was far from clear. The incident quickly spread beyond the school, reaching the local news and sparking widespread outrage. Parents, community members, and local activists rallied behind Sophie, condemning the teacher's actions and demanding accountability. The school found itself under intense scrutiny, with many questioning its commitment to inclusivity and its handling of students with medical conditions. Amid the public uproar, Sophie's parents decided to take legal action against both the school and Mr. Reeves. They hired a renowned lawyer known for fighting educational injustices. The courtroom became the stage for a high-stakes legal battle, not only to secure justice for Sophie but also to set a precedent for how schools should handle students with chronic illnesses. As the case unfolded, shocking details of the school's negligence emerged. It was revealed that Sophie had submitted a medical report and a permission slip explaining her condition at the start of the semester. The school had failed to communicate this crucial information to her teachers. Sophie's parents were heartbroken to learn that their daughter's well-being had been overlooked, leading to the humiliating incident. Public support for Sophie surged as the school's shortcomings were exposed. The case concluded with a settlement favoring Sophie's family, compelling the school to adopt new policies for improved communication between students, parents, and teachers about medical needs. Mr. Reeves faced disciplinary action, and the incident ignited a nationwide conversation on students' rights, especially those with chronic illnesses. Though the legal victory offered some closure, the emotional scars ran deep. Sophie faced a long journey of physical and mental recovery. The experience left its mark, but it also sparked a movement to protect vulnerable students across the nation. In the end, Sophie emerged as a symbol of resilience and a catalyst for change, turning her personal ordeal into a powerful force for improving the education system.